It looks like. Let me record.
Yep, it says we're now streaming live on Facebook.
All right. All right. So welcome to the Healthy Dose Show. Something brand new and exciting. I'm very excited to share with you the guests. I have very special guests, but also why I'm doing this. We have a special guest today. It's first ever Daily Dose extension. I call it the Healthy Dose. And truly, let me just share with you first, the mission really is just pretty simple. Having enjoyed connecting with so many people over the last really 115 days or so since we've been on lockdown, I've just been not just encouraged, but just inspired by so many people who've reached out to me, particularly believers and people who are just strong in their faith, saying it's hard. Life is just hard, and trying to provide some encouragement doing the daily dose. I also found there's also people in my world in the fitness and health space and nutrition space also doing a lot of the same thing. So I said, well, let's just bring that together. So I felt God was just nudging me to take kind of another step forward. And by doing whatever possible I can to help others who are on a path maybe that's not as healthy as they want, but want to pursue that healthy path, and then looking to others who are doing that as well. So with that, this is the Daily Dose, and just to kind of share with you, or the Healthy Dose. I'm so used to the Daily Dose. I knew one of the best ways to reach more people for Jesus is really to get on a larger scale, and to know that God's already doing that with the people around me, the ones I love, my family, my friends, and my neighbors. And I know that one of the things that has helped me in my walk in faith is also doing whatever I can to be as encouraging and to provide as much value as I can. So just to share with you kind of a reminder what this is, because it is brand new, is truly just a free show I'm doing. I don't know, this is being the first one. It may be probably not the only one. It is the first one, but likely this will be something I do for free, ongoing. And there's no way, I'm not making money off of this. There's no kind of, there's no kind of back end story on this to help you get into my world or what have you, but just truly to give you an opportunity to learn from guests to come on here and to be inspired and to learn about their faith-filled stories. So with that, here we go. This is the first episode and a special guest. So whether your faith is strong, I just want to share this too, or not, or you're just maybe learning about it for the very first time, I want to ask, wouldn't it be awesome? Really, truly, wouldn't it be awesome if you knew how to live a faith-filled life, a healthy and fit life, that you can pursue all that the Lord has set out for you and his plan for your life and the life of your family? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So today's guest, very first guest I might add, has not only been living this out herself, but also has been helping millions of people across the world. And I've been just truly inspired to introduce Isabel Price. She's a mom, a wife, a mom of two young boys, a faithful follower of Jesus Christ. She's also a nutritionist and creator of the internet-based nutrition program called the New Life Promise. Now, Isabel's passion for nutrition started with a deep desire to help her mom overcome her challenges with type 2 diabetes. Not only was she able to help her mom regain her health in dramatic ways, she then took those nutrition principles and put them in a program that's now reached truly millions all over the planet. Isabel's new program, the New Life Promise, combines her love for nutrition and for the love of the Lord to begin to change the conversation around weight loss and health from one of guilt and shame to one of love, compassion, and surrender to the wonderful life God has for us. Now, I'll just share with you, I first met Isabel through a fellow brother in Christ who also happens to be my business mentor, Vince Domani. And she was at one of his mastermind groups doing just sharing her experience in her business. And while I was really impressed with her success that she had in her business, what truly blew me away was what was behind that success and the driving force that she had because of the faith that she had behind her message. And it was just awesome. So after she presented, we didn't even really get a chance to speak, but I knew God was wanting at some point for us to cross paths. And that's exactly what happened. So I just wanted today, we're going to talk about some things, everything from what life was like maybe back in the day. And you may be able to share in that experience depending on where you're at in your journey with your health and your faith, how we became passionate about helping people in health and the faith, but more importantly, how faith can help not just share about what we're doing, but how it can truly help shape your life and for the life of your loved ones, which is what it's all about, being family, having two kids. I know Isabel having two kids. So without further ado, I just want to welcome Isabel to the Healthy Dose.
Thank you, Mark. This is such an honor to be the first guest. Thank you. This is great.
Thanks so much. So let's start here. Let's talk about just briefly about early days, Isabel Price, kind of your first starting point, maybe as a kid, and how health and nutrition and maybe fitness started.
Yeah, well, I'll give everyone the very abridged version, right? Because this could be
Yeah.
like a very, very long story. But my grandmother had type 2 diabetes, and then my mom was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes in her early 40s. So I'm 43, so she was about my age. They were both overweight. My sister was overweight even from a young age, and I was just like a little bit overweight. It wasn't until like my college years that I had, gained some more weight, and at one point was about 30 pounds overweight. So for me, it really started as looking for answers for my mom, for myself, for my sister. And in finding those answers, I realized that a lot of people don't have these answers, and I saw my mom suffering young. 43 is young. I'm saying that because I'm 43 right now. And it's young. And to not be able to do the things that you want to do because of your health, that's challenging. She had two young girls, she had a husband, she worked full time. And eventually her diabetes got so out of control that her kidneys started to fail. She needed a kidney transplant. So, Mark, when you go through all of that with a parent, you want to help. You're like, what can I do to help? And that's what really started my passion for nutrition. Now, the situation really got so bad with my mom and other, circumstances in my life. And a friend, actually not really a friend, more like an acquaintance at the time, now a friend, took me to church. And when I was there, I thought to myself, I want what these people have. And it was so perfect because I was in such a just difficult time in my life. My mom was dying on dialysis. I mean, she needed a kidney transplant and she was dying. And I knew I needed something. I didn't know at the time it was Jesus, but man, like I needed Jesus. And, a lot of people who follow me, they know this story. My mom finally was called to get a kidney transplant and she went in for the transplant. And I went down to the hospital chapel and surrendered my life to Christ. I almost didn't even know what that meant, but I was like, you know what? Whatever you want, like, please, I'm desperate, and sometimes that's what it takes, it takes a point of desperation. So that's why I'm so passionate about this, right? Because I saw someone who suffered so much because of food and lack of information. And in a lot of ways, medications, because she was just pumped with more medication. And that eventually is what, damaged her kidneys. And I know things that can help people and I want to share them. And those things are not just nutrition, but they're also the gospel and Jesus. And man, when you can put those two together, it's a fun day. I think it's really a fun day.
Yeah, it's I hear what you're saying. My dad, when he was getting ready to retire, he was a carpenter his whole life, builder with his hands, just worked his hands his whole life. And he started to have some health problems. They weren't related to weight, but they related to his body breaking down because he never really took good care of himself. He ate okay, but he was a builder. He just worked hard all the time. That was just what he knew, being a farm boy, kind of grown up. But that turned into him. He needed 5 more years to retire, but he didn't have 5 more years because his body was broken. And it's really interesting to see how he came through. Unfortunately, it happened to be the time I was in physical therapy school and doing training, and we got and talked and said, well, okay, we need to get you fixed and then let's get you stronger. And he was able to get 5 more years of his work into his life. And what crazy thing is, I just went and met him because they live about an hour and a half away, and for Father's Day. And he told me, well, my gym closed. Now this is now 15 years later. He's 77 years old. And he told me, well, the gym's closed down and I couldn't do my workouts that I do. He said, so I got on my bike and he said, I'm up to 25 miles a day every other day. And I was like, so it gets on you. And besides that too, I just think of in the faith standpoint for me is thinking how valuable my parents' health is. but it's also valuable that God just kind of instilled in me and just gave me the understanding, like, okay, there's people in need. They're right there in front of you. It's your own parents. And
Yeah.
then if I can help my parents, maybe there's some other people who will listen as well, right?
And it makes me feel like all of my mom's suffering was not in vain when I see just one person who's like, I went to the doctor today and I am no longer considered a diabetic. When I read those in our community, Mark, they do not get old for me. Like, I want to cry at every single one, because you know what? That is someone's mom. That is someone's grandmother. That's somebody's sister. And we have a lot of men now in the community as well. And I'm like, you know what? All of her suffering, God had a plan. I asked my husband one day, I said, do you think that when we get to heaven, we'll be able to ask God all our questions? And my husband said to me, I feel like once you get to heaven, you're not even going to have the questions. You're just going to know. And it's just going to be so clear to you. And in a way, I feel like it is very clear to me. My mom, yes, she suffered, but that suffering has now literally affected the lives of millions of people in a positive way. And you know what? God does things in a way that, we don't know, but we're not to question. I'm not going to question any of it. Why did she have to go through that so all these other people, can live a different life? I'm not even going to question it. Like, I just trust that his plan is much better than anything that I can put together. So yeah.
And it's hard. The thing that I think, what I found being in this journey in health and fitness for 20, over 20 years now, it's very different, because what the world views of what somebody should look like in their, how well they look in front of the mirror, while that might have some value to somebody feeling confident, but it's so much deeper, at a deeper level. And I think as a health and fitness expert, and as nutrition, people are looking for that, like that weight loss goal. They want to fit in those clothes, but if they can find the value and understand how much more valuable they are than what the scale says, regardless where it's at, but know that God wants you to be at your best at the same time. If that can happen before, and that's why I said I had to meet you. I'm blown away, because I think one of the things I've learned over the years was not to mix your faith and your business and your fitness together. And it's something that I said, I couldn't keep away from it, because part of when I came to the Lord, he started to bring people to me, and I had a gym at the time. So I was helping people on a path, and it was like, what's going on here? It was insane. But at the same time, I was like, if I can help them get, like we did mission, I just made me think today before this is talking about, I had somebody send me a memory of a first mission trip, and I actually shared it in this morning's the daily dose. And it talked about the first mission trip. And I trained a whole bunch of guys, because it was a men's surf mission trip in Costa Rica. And I said, well, I have a gym. Let's go get ready for this mission trip, get strong and healthy. And then here we go. And yeah, we needed to be strong and healthy. But when we sat in a room and everybody broke down and shared their story of their life, their brokenness, and their struggles with lust, and struggles with, their businesses, and struggles, it was like, oh my goodness, like there is a value to being healthy, but I've never seen this kind of health before. Men talking about their faith and about their struggles, and it fueled me. And I said, well, how can I do more of this? Right.
And climate too. You get to a point, and this is what happened to me, where you can't not do it. It's inside you and it's bubbling up. And then you're just like, how can I have this answer and not share it? I remember a couple years ago at church, they showed a video of, I can't remember if it was Penn or Teller, right? Like Penn and Teller, right? But it was one of them. And he's an atheist, maybe still is an atheist. And he said that there was someone that came to his show and was in the back of the room the whole time. And then at the end came up to him and gave him a Bible, and very lovingly gave him a Bible. And Penn or Teller, if I'm going to tell the story, I should probably know which one. I don't. But anyway, he said, it just really showed me what faith is, something like that. He said, imagine that you had the cure for cancer, but you just kept it to yourself, to someone who had cancer. This man who shared the Bible with me just knew he had an answer. At least he felt like he did. And that's why he shared it with me. And what happened was my first business was the Diet Solution program. That did really well. And then Beyond Diet did incredibly well all over the internet. I just got to a point where I would see people struggling and they would say, well, I kind of started and then I fell off and I don't know, I'm so embarrassed, I'm ashamed, I'm so, sick and tired of myself. They would just say the nastiest things to themselves. And I would want to break out my Bible and share scripture with them and share with them how much God loves them and that his mercies are new each day. And that, what, in Christ, we can do absolutely anything when we lean on him. But here you are with a secular program and you feel like you can't. And I just got to the point where I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. Not like this. And I started sharing scripture during my Facebook Lives on the Beyond Diet page. And people loved it. And I just kept doing it. And then just slowly, New Life Promise was born, and that was challenging. It's kind of hard, to come out and be like, well, I'm going to be really bold in my faith, right? It's one thing to be kind of like light with your faith, but be really bold with your faith. And when I tell you, Mark, that Satan came after me every way that he could, he did. Because you know what? Satan doesn't want healthy people running around like sharing the gospel. You know what I mean? Doing God's work, going on mission trips, volunteering for wonderful programs at church. Satan doesn't want any of that. And I just had to keep my eyes fixed on him and say, you know what? I know that I must be doing something for the kingdom because I'm just being attacked. And it's been a roller coaster ride of the past 2 years, I will say.
Yeah, it's funny. When I had the gym is where when I opened the gym is right at the same time. Within that year, I came to my faith, and it was the same time my son. Now you had mentioned your mom, and we came to our faith because my son had health issues for 2 years. He had 5 major surgeries on his neck. Not to get into that story because that's time for another day, but it really was. We had friends that reached out to us. And we had always people inviting us. Living in Florida, there's a Bible Belt, there's church every corner, right? Like Starbucks, and they're all over the place. And we went to a couple, but we were just really struggling. My wife being in nursing and having just a hard time knowing what she knew, and we couldn't figure out. We didn't have a solution. And it was kind of crazy. Even after going to church for the first time, we still didn't know what the solution was. But for whatever reason, God just started to get a hold of us. And when I noticed he started to get a hold of us, some of the other things that were trying to hold on to us started to fall away. And it was like that fear, not that it wasn't a little bit there or worried or concerned, but then when he showed miracles and healed my son, and like your mom who, got healed through this whole process, is something that it kind of sold me out. And then he just kept doing it and kept doing it. And it seemed like those are the times with the hardest moments of my life. But I look back on those deeper valleys that were those struggling moments, and I feel that's where I was almost the closest to him. And it's weird because they say we pray even in our times of struggle, and we should be joyful, right? And we should be kind of enjoy. Well, it's not really joyful going through struggles. I can't imagine somebody that's on a weight loss journey, on a health and fitness journey, and they're in a really bad spot and they feel terrible about themselves. But if they can embrace knowing that the Lord loves them no matter what they look like, no matter what the weight on the scale is, no matter how fit they are, but just like in our faith journey, he doesn't want us to just keep us there. He doesn't want us to just stay there. You have the love of Christ in your life, then why not if our job is to not just learn who he is and have that relationship, but spread this good news to other people, why not allow yourself to do it in the best, highest level of capacity in fitness that you possibly can, right?
And I tell people this, like, imagine the last time you didn't feel well, right? Did you even feel like doing anything? Like you're just on the couch, just trying to keep it together. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people living their life that way because of things that might actually be within their control, like food addictions, which is a very real addiction. And you know what? We need to go after it like any other addiction, actually a more challenging addiction, because you know what, you still have to put food in your mouth and you have to make good choices. It's not like alcohol where maybe you can just keep a dry house and not go to the bars and not go to parties and things like that. So I think that no, you might not be capable of doing it on your own, but with God's strength you can. And that's God is showing off in New Life Promise. He is showing off, because what has happened inside that community in just 2 years is nothing I could have done on my own. Nothing. I mean, I'm not that good. I just want everyone to.
Yeah.
What's wonderful is that a lot of people come in and they'll say things like, I thought I was too far gone. You know, these are people who have more than 100 pounds to lose. That's a lot of weight. And I don't blame anyone for thinking that maybe there is no more hope for them, because that's maybe what society has told them. We also have people that come in and said, the doctor said, my only hope is gastric bypass. Oh no, your only hope is not gastric bypass. Your hope is in the Lord. Like,
Amen.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And go to a doctor's office and have that said to you. But what I love about what you're doing, Mark, and what I love about New Life Promise and what we're now doing is, yes, we're going to help you to make better choices. We're going to help you to lose weight. We're going to help you to feel good. But how much stronger is that relationship going to be with our Heavenly Father, because you have leaned on Him in your most challenging moments? You know what I mean? Like, you were at the party and everybody else was eating cake and you knew it wasn't a good choice for you. Come on, that's hard. Like, I think people make light of those situations. I'm not making light of that. That is hard when you are a sugar addict. And when you have to walk away from that and find yourself a corner to pray and ask the Lord, Lord, not in my strength, but in yours, please let me get through this moment. And then you have victory over that moment. How much closer will your relationship be? And
Yes, so good.
And that's, for me, what I see in that community. I'm like, yes, everyone, we are conquering food addictions. Yes, we are losing weight. Yes, like, you know, you are getting off of your medications. I love that when people are like, I no longer need my diabetes meds. I don't need my high blood pressure meds. But you know what? People say over and over again, and my relationship with the Lord is so much stronger. Of course it is. Imagine if you went through something and you had a partner, you know what I mean? Like, think about like your husband or spouse, you know, your husband or your wife rather,
Right.
and your child was sick. Okay. Like you and your wife went through.
Yeah. Yeah.
How longer are you at the end of that? Because you guys just needed each other. You know, you couldn't have gone through it without the other. And that's what this is all about. You know, you get to a point where you're like, God, I need you. Wow. Boy, do I really need you, you know, like really, really. So anyway, you can just stop me whenever you need to, Mark.
No, yeah, no, I was just saying, and it's so true. And I think the hard thing is that, you know, everything being so instantaneous, like you mentioned, if somebody does go down that route to say, hey, a doctor will tell me I can just get the weight, I can just do the surgery, get the 100 pounds off, do the thing. And that's, you know, it takes work. And I think sometimes the hardest part is being patient with the Lord and the steps that you take with Him, because not always will a prayer, like we had prayers that were answered when they were needed, but we also struggled for 2 years prior to that with Him and in trying to figure a solution for this growth that was coming out of his neck. And the crazy thing is, now, as strong as I am, it's still hard as a Christian, as a believer, to rely and lean on Him with everything going on in the world right now. But I will say is, it's not even a fallback. It's my first line of defense, is to go to Him and say, please carry me through this. There are people struggling with food even more now than ever, probably because they've been stuck in their home for 3-4 months, right? And they maybe lost all hope because they lost their job and now their kids are home, or they don't know if they're going to be able to pay next month's rent. And then all of that emotional, I would say, cause to direct them towards food or towards maybe being lazy. Like, I think of people that had great exercise habits and health and fitness habits, and then they got stuck at home and now they've stopped altogether and they lost that hope, you know. And that's where I'm determined for those who are willing to listen to say, no, there is going to be a better tomorrow, but you do have to take a step closer towards it. And most likely, if you're struggling, it's because you're not taking a step closer to His path that He has for you. Maybe
Right.
just
You're holding on to what was, and He just wants you to let go. He wants you to hold on to everything like this with an open hand. Everything in your life, we need to hold it with an open hand. That's really hard. Now, listen, if you were to say, oh, you are to hold on to your house or your car with an open hand, I'd be like, okay, all right, no big deal. But then you put my kids in these hands. Oh, no, that becomes a little bit more difficult. But that's how we're to hold on to everything. And there's this like meme that has gone around social media for quite a while where it's a little girl who is upset because like she no longer has her small little teddy bear, like she doesn't want to give it away, and it's Jesus holding on to a huge teddy bear behind him, and it's just a picture of he has something so much greater for you if you would be willing to let go. And look, losing your job is hard. I never want to make light of any of those things, right? For me to say, your hope is in Christ, everything is great. Yeah. I'm not making light of your situation. It is hard. But losing your job, maybe your situation changing, the Lord has something different, better. He has a better plan. I know sometimes that's harder to just to kind of, like you said, sometimes that is hard. It is, I can't even imagine having a sick child, Mark. You were like just telling that story and I was like, oh, wow. Like that's, you know what I mean? And there are a lot of people who live with their child sick for many, many years. But there's a song, it's the name of the song is The Reason. Can't remember who sings it. His love is the reason. And there's one line that says, if we could pull back the curtain of heaven, we would see his hand in everything. I heard that song the first day of quarantine. And on that day, I was wigging out because I had a toothache and all the dental places were closing. And I'm like, am I seriously going to have like a toothache for like the next, I don't know how long, right? Like, the first day of quarantine, nobody knew, and I was like, just upset about, although if you've ever had a toothache, that this is like,
yeah, I've had them. Oh, they're terrible.
So here I was in the kitchen and I was cooking and my face is throbbing and the song comes on and it says, if you could pull back the curtain of heaven, you would see his hand in everything. I was like, I'm good. You know what? Tooth and all, his hand is in everything. And I see his hand on these people who have decided to do something different with their health in New Life Promise. I know you see it with the people who sign up and want to change their health with you. But look, there has to be action on our part. We have to take the next step, and for people listening, I just ask you, what is the next step for you? It might not be signing up for New Life Promise or signing up for Mark's program. That's not why we're here. Just asking you, what is the next step for you? One step at a time.
Yeah, it's one step, one day, one step. I say it all the time. I even say it to my kids who, I can't imagine being a teenager right now and not knowing about school next and all those types of things. But for the person that is struggling, right, that's the thing is that I've even, one of the struggles I found is you find people that go get their health in order, they get their fitness, they lose the weight, and they get to that place that they thought was going to be where they needed to get. And they're still coming up empty. Like they're still missing something. So like that gives me the fire because I've seen it a lot in 20 years. I've seen a lot of it out there. They thought that if they were to just get to that weight, if they were to just be able to do that kind of workout or, be able to run that marathon at that time, that everything would be perfect and complete. And that would fill this void that's been inside me. And you and I both know that that's not what's going to fill, right? Yeah. So that's something that if that can be attained while you're pursuing a healthier lifestyle, while you're pursuing the right kind of eating habits so that you feel better about yourself and you have more energy and you're available for not just for you and your things, but for your spouse and for your children who need you to be at your best. Well, think of the ripple trip, whatever you call it, the ripple effect or the ripple effect, whatever you call it, is consider what happens then when they see mom and dad not only trying to look at this pursuit towards faith and a relationship with Jesus, but also pursuing a healthy lifestyle and having that. Like that's what I look for myself as a parent to the next generation, because we have the ability to change the generations that are to come right now today. And for that person that's maybe thinking how hard it is for maybe to lose their job, or they're 100 pounds overweight, is to consider the legacy that's behind you coming up. 100, 200 years of your heritage, your family coming up behind you, and you have the chance to potentially change that course in an amazing way, not just for your health, and I'm talking about for the direction towards Jesus. Like, that's something like, that blows me away.
Yeah. And I just want to add to that, though, that I want to say that if that is you and you're like, wow, I don't necessarily think I have set the best example for my children, no shame, no guilt, because I feel like that's where people get stuck. And that's where I just love being able to share God's word and scripture, because there is no shame and guilt. Shame and guilt is not from God. Conviction is, but conviction is more like God lovingly reaching out and saying, here's what I want you to change, my son, my daughter, and I'm going to be here to help you change it. Whereas the devil would have you be in shame and feel guilt and have you think that you're too far gone. That's not where we're coming from. So if you are sitting there saying, you know what, my kids are now teenagers and I have set such a horrible example. That was then, this is now. Your Heavenly Father will help you move forward. Whatever was behind there, right? Doesn't the Apostle Paul say that, right? Like, looking at what's ahead, not what was behind. And that for me is such an important message to share, because I see many times people hear things like that and they feel worse. You know what I mean? They feel bad because it's too late. No, it's not too late. Or I've already disappointed so many of my family members. Well, you know what? Today is a new day. Every day, his mercies are new every day. Like, I remember that all the time. Do you know what I did last night? One of my kids was my oldest was practicing the piano, and the other one was in the shower, annoying just the bejeebies out of Christian. It was like, and I just couldn't even take it. And I, from the bottom of the stairs, screamed. Like, it wasn't like a productive, a productive, I was going to use the word scolding, or, you know what I mean? It was like a lunatic screaming her head off. Like, my head could have just spun. Okay. It was so bad, Mark. It was terrible.
I did the same thing.
And I woke up this morning and I thought about what happened, and I thought, his mercies are new every day. His mercies are new every day. You know what I mean? Because you know what? Like, we're going to have that moment. We're going to have that failure. We're going to have, here I'm trying to teach my youngest not to scream. And what did I do? Scream. I'm like, so anyway, all that to say, every single one of us is going to have a failure, even on a daily basis, and if you can just wake up in the morning and remember that it is a new day in Christ, that his mercies are new on that day. Today is a new day for you. 100 pounds overweight, 200 pounds overweight, 300 pounds overweight, diabetes, high blood pressure. I mean, I could go through the whole list. Today is a new day for you, or at least it can be.
Yeah, and you can't change what's already done. It's done. It's in the past. It's behind you. I like to always think about, even if there is worry, because we all have a bit of worry, whether it's our kids and getting scolding them, did the same thing the other day, and worrying about them. We have today. All we have is today, the time we're spending right now, the time after this for today. And you can be concerned about today and let God take care of tomorrow. He will help you take care of tomorrow. If you let him, you can let him. It's the good, beautiful thing about it is you have to welcome him into your life. Just taking that acceptance there. And then, not to say that things make it perfect, because we're just sharing that it's not perfect after, but it is better and it is easier to get through when you have a Heavenly Father by your side to get through those moments, whether it's related to how much weight you put on, or it's related to how you parent, or it's related to what your next steps are in your life. And that's something that I just come back to, and I think it's honestly helped me in the last 11 years of my walk, because I can't imagine what it would have been like for me to go through those moments without him. And it still is hard, but I say is to the person who's maybe not there yet or doesn't know what that looks like, it just means take today. Just take today and start. I mean, that's really the moments, whether it's about getting in a nutrition plan or a workout plan or having a coach in your corner, you can just actually, and there's nothing, one thing I learned about prayer is he already knows what you're thinking and praying before you even pray, but he still wants you to talk to him. He still wants you to spend time with. That's what a personal relationship is about. So there has to be intentionality there, and it gets me excited. I could talk about this ever. Let's talk about maybe just some tips. Let's just say, besides what we do, what about some tips for somebody maybe is at that point, like the first step? What would you say to that person? Is like, what would be my first step then, moving forward, or today? What could I do today to kind of help get that started?
Yeah, and I could see how it would be very overwhelming because it's like, should I go gluten-free? Should I stop drinking soda? Should I give up the sugar? What should I do? So for someone who, let's say, you don't want to join a formal program, what you can do is think about what the worst, I'm going to say quote unquote, worst thing is that you do on a daily basis. Now, that could be a variety of things. It could be drinking soda. It could be maybe being sedentary all day long. I mean, there's plenty of people who literally just sit all day. It could be maybe not eating all day long, but then eating some like very unhealthy dinner. Just pick the worst thing you think right now and just work on that thing. And that's it. You know, and then people are going to be like, but Isabel, that's not enough. That's not enough. It's enough. It's a starting point. And already you're going to feel better. And then you're going to pick the next thing. What's the next worst thing I do? Oh, I sit in this chair all day long. I'm going to start getting in 5,000 steps a day. Look at that, 5,000, not so hard. Now I'm at 8,000. So now you've maybe given up the soda and you're walking 8,000 steps a day. What's the next thing? And that's it. And you just do this slowly, one step at a time. And then before you know it, you're like, wow, my pants, they fit kind of loose. How did that happen? It happened slowly but surely. And you know what? And then you're going to have a hard day where you didn't do your steps at all and you bought a soda from the vending machine. That's okay. You're going to get up the next day and you're going to start again and you're going to do it again. And that's it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like to share with habits says, I don't think we necessarily, and I know for a fact, because I would like to not like chocolate, but I like chocolate. So I don't feel that that's something I'm probably ever going to not like, but I know if it's around, I'm going to eat it. And that's probably something that I probably shouldn't be doing all the time, especially being a coach, right? But I would say is I try not so much about trying to break a bad habit. I try to think of the other habits. And I always like to think of you're like in the middle and you have a rubber band that's pulling you into one direction or the other. And maybe you have some habits that aren't so awesome that you may want to change. It may be that you sit all day, or maybe Netflix is like you're in tune with every show all the time, or not that there's anything wrong with it, because I've definitely watched my share of them, but also it could be where soda, it could be any of those things. And maybe they're things that you can't tackle at once, but if you start putting some other habits, some small things, getting up from your desk and going for a walk, 5,000 steps, or maybe having more options at home that aren't related to soda, maybe it's sparkling water or something to that as a step. Sooner or later, there's more rubber bands. And you know what rubber band does? If there's only maybe 5 or 6 on this side from some of those old habits and some, now you're starting to develop new ones and, oh, wow. And then, and I can eat, I can make a meal here at home. And wow, that broccoli isn't that bad after all, if I put garlic and salt and pepper on it. And then you start putting those around. Next thing you know, you start moving in that direction towards better health. And I think it's the same thing with our faith journey as well. Because I think the same thing happens when you meet the Lord, and for me, I feel like he knocked on that door so loud and he caught up to me and I heard that knock. And I feel like, okay, I don't know what it looks like but I'm gonna open the door, and then, okay, I need to get a little closer. I started to put little rubber bands. Maybe it's serving, maybe it's taking better care of myself. Maybe it's being more patient with my kids, which I still struggle with. My teenagers struggle with that. And the mercies every morning, I still think of that. But then as we start to develop those other habits, we start pulling ourselves in a closer direction to what he wants. He wants you to be close to him. And the only way to do that is to pull yourself and start putting those things where maybe those bad habits, eating sleeves of Thin Mints, right? The Girl Scout cookies and all that kind of stuff. I get it. I'm that guy. I'm that person. So they're still there, and I still like the Thin Mints and still like the chocolate, but because now I'm focused in this new direction, it's helpful. And that's kind of the that's where I like to help with people. And it sounds like it's pretty similar in your end as well.
Well, we don't focus on the weight. We don't focus on, because you wanted to get into your skinny jeans. We just focus on what is God's will for me? What is his plan for me? Oh, look, he gave me 6 grandchildren that I now really want to keep up with. He gave me, 2 kids that really need me right now. A lot of my friends whose children are older than me will tell me, you think your kids need you a lot now? Well, they'll still need you a lot when they're teenagers. And then when they're off to college and they need you. And you know what? Look, we're not getting younger. They're getting older and we're getting older. And you know what? God has given us this job, and he has entrusted us with these children and with these grandchildren. And you know what? The bottom line is we need to be healthy in order to do what he has given us to do. My mom, after she got her transplant, she completely changed her nutrition and how she took care of herself. I mean, it was really just a new lease on life. And by taking care of her kidneys the way she did, she got 9 more years of life. And in those 9 years, all 3 of her grandsons were born. I have 2 boys. My sister has 1. She took care of them. While I was building up my business, she was taking care of Christian, my oldest. And she was an integral part of their lives. They still talk about her to this day. Yeah. And you think about, God gave her that role for 9 years, and she took great care of herself during that time. I mean, look, she got a second chance at life, and she was like, I'm not blowing it. And I think about my kids and how forever they'll be like, oh yeah, and remember, and she did this and she did this. And I think we do, we're not guaranteed tomorrow. I don't know what tomorrow holds for me. I don't know what it holds for you, but I know that I have this moment, and I know I have today, and I know I have 2 little guys downstairs that I need to be in good health for. That's what motivates me now. I like looking nice in clothes. Everyone does. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. But what drives me more is helping people to not be like, but you know what? By 3 o'clock, I got to sit on the couch because I'm so tired. I can't go on that mission trip because I'm too heavy. That happens a lot. People who are like, I can't go to Africa and walk everything, all the time that is required because my joints can't keep up. That's what we're.
Totally. Yeah. I think that's a great place for us to close. I appreciate the time we got to spend and talk. I think we could talk for a long time about this because clearly passionate about it. And I would just say is let's follow this up just in a closeout. Where can people learn more about what you do? For people that are watching, for me that may or may not know what you do, what's the best way to connect with you and then maybe tap into what you're doing a little bit more?
Yeah, on my website, which is Isabel D as in David Price.com. Our New Life Promise program is there on IsabelDPrice.com. It's also Isabel D Price on Instagram, and it's Isabel D Price on Facebook. So any of those.
Awesome. And really just kind of in closing out, what I'd like to say is, while we just wanted to share kind of some experience and to provide value for you, regardless of where you're at in your faith journey, your health journey. But there may be somebody else too who maybe need to hear this, and somebody that you might know that's a close friend of yours or a family member, or you want to share it with, or you may want to watch it later. And I would suggest is that you share it with as many people as you want. But one thing I love, obviously we know social media can be used for a lot of negativity and discouragement and anger and frustration. Obviously we've seen all that time. And I would say is I hope that's not what you got out of this message. And if you enjoyed it, please share it with somebody. That's really all we ask, because there's a lot of good news that I think not just from 2 of us, but from a lot of other people that are on a healthy journey, on a pursuit towards having a relationship with God, maybe not even knowing what that looks like. But there's also a lot of people who don't know who he is and don't know his value for that kind of relationship. And there may be just one person that you share this with that could actually change their life around. And that's partly why I wanted to do this. And I'll just say thanks again so much, Isabel, for joining. I appreciate your time so much. And for all your insight. It's just great connecting with you.
Oh, this was great. This is great.
All right. Take care, everybody. And God bless. We'll see you. Bye-bye.